Welcome back to Tabletop Titans. With 10th edition finally upon us, there's a lot to learn and a lot to remember. So here are 10 10th edition truths that are going to help you transition from the previous edition. Let's dive on in and take a look. The first thing that might throw you off when you're playing your 10th edition games is movement. Now in 10th edition, you can actually move your models through your own friendly models, which is going to make movement a lot easier when you have those little supporting characters or supporting units. You don't have to be so specific with the ordering, but also keep in mind that if you're a monster or vehicle, you cannot move through other monsters and vehicles unless you have the fly keyword. Speaking of fly, here's number 2. Fly movement is much more natural now. When you're measuring distance to the top of a ruin, for example, you're going to just measure the actual distance they fly. So that is that diagonal across the two. The bad news is you're not going to be able to move through ruins in the same way you could before. They're going to have to go up and over. Additionally, you can land on upper floors of ruins, but you cannot have any part of the base or hull, if that matters, hanging over. So watch out, you Drakari players. Number 3. Holding objectives is fundamentally different in 10th edition. Gone are the days of simply counting as one model or having objectives secured. You now have an OC or objective control profile, and the player who has the highest total number of OC on an objective will hold the point. Units that had objectives secured before are likely to have a higher OC than more elite units. Number 4. Cover. Cover has been greatly simplified, which is fantastic. Namely, dense cover is gone, so no more -1 to hit. Virtually every piece of cover just gives you +1 to your save, and more importantly, if you have an armor save of 3 and you get cover against AP 0, you don't get the +1. Number 5. This one is going to take a lot of getting used to. When you go to charge a unit, every model that can must base an enemy model. Now do take note, this does activate one model at a time, so you can attempt to block your models off in order to set yourself up for your piles and your consolidations, but it's going to be a lot of new stuff for us to learn there. Number 6, Psychic of course has been fundamentally changed. There is no more Psychic phase, rather there are different Psychic abilities, Psychic attacks. Something that's interesting about this is a number of abilities that would give you 4-up Feel No Pains or 5-up Feel No Pains against Psychic attacks will now work against Psychic weapons, such as 4 swords, 4 staves, and things like that. So that could be something interesting to keep an eye out for. Number 7. Characters have also fundamentally changed. They work in a couple different ways. One, if they have the leader keyword, they can actually join a unit and mix all of their essential abilities. Or if they have the lone operative, they actually cannot be shot at unless you're within 12 of them. This is important because it's not the old character blocking. Even a sniper rifle will not be able to shoot at any of these characters when they're beyond 12. So that's a big, big difference. Number 8, command points fundamentally remain the same. However, in your typical game, you're going to be starting with 0 command points, getting one at the top of each player's turn, so you're going to have to use them very sparingly. The good news is you no longer use them to build your army. Any of the extra CP upgrades are all just points now. Number 9 is a big one. Secondaries have also changed. You no longer pick 3 secondaries from different categories and attempt to play it throughout the game. You can either play fixed or tactical. In fixed, you're going to select 2 secondaries, just paring it down from the 3 before, or if you do tactical, you're going to be playing a Tempest of War style game as you go throughout. The interesting thing is both players can pick their own way to play the game within the same battle. This is a huge one, and there's a lot to learn for all of us here. Number 10, Battle Shock. Leadership no longer works the way it used to. You don't just lose models. Essentially, at the start of your command phase, if you are below half, you have to take a Battle Shock test, and if you fail it, objective control is going to go down to 0. You cannot receive stratagems, and it's also going to make falling back from combat much more difficult. This is a huge and massive change to the game, and there are a number of units that can actually cause Battle Shock at a whim throughout the game. So these are going to be very essential units to look at as we go into the new edition. Bonus round, it's the army construction, which has been fully changed. Now you just need a single leader. You cannot have more than 6 of a single type of troops, and you cannot have more than 3 of any other type of unit. And lastly, your epic heroes, which are usually your named characters, you can only have 1 of each type. This just means you can't have double gilman. Sorry. Other than that, the world is your oyster, and you're going to have to figure out what balance is best for 10th edition, which none of us really know, so it's exciting. Now those are the 10 10th edition truths that you need to know before going into the new edition. New players and old, welcome. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to have lots of other videos talking about all these new tactics we have to learn. Thank you so much for joining. We'll catch you next time on the tabletop. Bye!